Apologies for being late. We've met in closed session. We have a quorum. Let's start with the pledge. You better take my seat.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Enthusiasm out there. Okay, we're going to start with student perspectives.
Well, good evening. We've got an eager group here tonight. We've got representatives from our Student Activities and Athletic Leadership Team to talk about our philanthropy project. You all, I believe, have heard early in the year the students voted for what our all-school focus would be, and they voted on Special Olympics. And so we brought some of our student athletes here, not only Special Olympic athletes, but this year we have several of our multi-need students competing on our IHSA teams. So we're excited to have them here represent our school and to tell you more about our philanthropy project. So I'll bring the students up and let them introduce themselves.
Okay. Hi, I'm Giselle Cervantes and I'm a senior.
I'm Maddie Manganello and I'm a junior.
I'm Ziggy Markowski and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Bella, I'm a freshman.
My name's Anna. I am a freshman.
So me and Maddie are both members of the Student Activities Athletics Leadership Team. So our leadership team is like our focus is to help improve the school, not only in just like academics wise, but among our athletes and everyone who's involved. We encourage like our peers and students to get involved as well. So we work with not only like the sports teams, like this year we like helped improve the brother-sister program, but we also work with student council to like promote like dances and just everything at school.
Okay, so this past month, we've been working on a Mustang Way video talking about the philanthropy project and what are some fundraising type ideas that we have come up with as a school and as a SALT. And the feedback that we got from that was just really amazing. Like all the students were just fell in love with the video, and I had people coming up to me telling me that they've cried and it convinced them to like sign up for the polar plunge and do all these activities to promote like the philanthropy project, which was really cool. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about me being a D99 Hoops student coach. This was a very humbling experience this year. It was my first year, and just by doing it, I got to hear everyone's stories and just what an impact D99 Hoops has made on the students in the school. And I've had parents come up to me telling them what amazing experiences to watch their children smile and be treated as normal kids. And I just think that's really awesome and one of the best things I've learned in my entire life. So, yes. You want to speak, Bella?
Yeah.
Tell them some of the things you're involved in.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming out, and I don't know.
Tell them some of the things you
Take your time.
Sports.
I like to do swimming, and I like to play basketball, and here's my medals. Thank you.
Yeah, Anna.
Tell them what you're participating in, Anna.
I am participating about bowling, and I have this Avalon is this sauce. Boom.
Should I? Okay. I am on team 2 of D99 Hoops. We just won first place at regionals. So our team will be going down to state in March. Last year I did the polo plunge. My stepdad sponsored our team, which was cool because we all had matching t-shirts on. This year I am doing the polar plunge again. It is so cold to jump into Lake Michigan, but it is fun. So far, I have raised the most donations on our team this year. Last year, I also had the most donations on our team. It makes me feel good helping my team and being a part of the Special Olympics. I like being on the Special Olympics D99 Hoops team. I have made great friends. I have won 3 medals. It has also made me more outgoing. I also have so much fun when I am playing on the courts. Thank you.
Hi. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about, this is my second year in SALT, Student Activities Athletics Leadership Team. It's really awesome getting to work with Ms. Martinez and Mr. Constance on this because they're so enthusiastic about like everything we do in that club. So to get to like come and like I'm enthusiastic about the philanthropy project, so to get to see adults who are also like really excited about it just makes me feel 100 times better. I'm doing the polar plunge this year. So we also did a commercial for our video announcements to encourage more people to participate in the polar plunge because I feel like it's one of like the biggest parts of our philanthropy project this year, other than like the assembly and everything. What was I gonna say? This year with the Mustang Way video, there was like a lot of student input, and which was really, really fantastic because it really helped the video connect to our peers and for them to like see things that they care about, see the community, how it's impacted by Special Olympics. And I definitely think Special Olympics is something that affects a large population of the DGS student body because we all have friends or family members who like need that opportunity to be involved in athletics just like everyone else. And music as well. So we're like, I love Special Olympics because it's not just about the athletics, it's also about inclusion in every single aspect of our school, whether it be academics, whether it be the music program. So to have everyone united in this one like project is just really humbling and really awesome. Does anyone have any questions?
How does one contribute?
Well, with the polar plunge, we all, like everyone who's participating.
Somebody else money to do that.
Yeah.
If I could interject,
Of
we
course.
actually just put a link on our website. So if you go to the student activities page,
Okay.
you can click on Our Story, Our Cause, and you can just make a general donation to Special Olympics because
Okay.
our overall school goal is to raise $20,000.
Because it all goes to the same.
It all goes to Special Olympics of Illinois, and then Giselle needs some donations.
I do. I really do.
So she can explain that part.
Of course, yeah. So when you sign up for the polar plunge, we all get like a link that we can send out. So I've posted it on like every single social media. So anyone can go online and donate money. It's really, really easy. So every participant has access to this page. So it's just really, really easy because it all goes to the same place as Ms. Martinez was saying. And it's really fantastic.
Thank you.
What's the link?
So
Our Story, Our Cause on there.
Our Story, Our Cause?
yes.
But the polar plunge link, the other one.
It's under the DGS, like if you go to like the DGS page under the activities link.
Okay, so they're both, okay.
Of course.
Exciting.
Yes. Any other questions? Awesome.
Can I just say, I'm tearing up, how proud we are of our student leaders, how proud we are of our student athletes, how proud we are of our faculty and our community.
Yeah, we're supporting it.
It just really, this is one of the best things to hear, one of the best things we do.
Yeah.
And I just really want to thank each and every one of you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, this is going to be pretty hard to follow,
Yeah, for sure.
Summer school.
but we will. Let's talk about summer school. Is that Ms. Gina?
Yes, it is, Miss
Okay.
Gina.
Okay.
All right, so we get to follow that, to talk about summer school. So every year, we come to the board to basically just review the previous summer school, and to make recommendations for this summer school, or the next summer's summer school program. So we are going to talk about the 2016 summer school program. And as you know, I'm sure you recognize Tim Tilton. He's a dean at North High and has been the director of summer school for about 9 years. Does a great job for us, knows the program forwards and backwards, and works closely with teachers and students, and he really is wonderful at leading this program. So we're going to hear from Tim a little bit about what it looked like academically last summer, and then I will talk about the recommendations for this summer.
Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight. Happy to once again report that we had a successful summer school last summer in 2016. This time I'll give you some of the best bullet points of the program. So we held the program at South this past year. For our academic program, again, it was a two semesters, 3 weeks each semester. Classes ran from 8 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We had a total of 266 students participate in the academic class programs, covering 13 different subjects. We had, in particular, we had a even stronger participation this year in our AP Chemistry prep class. This has been a program that's been growing now for about 4 years. Our science departments at both schools have done a great job of recommending, identifying the students that are going to be taking chemistry, AP Chemistry the following year, and then and identifying which students would probably benefit best from this prep program, and then really working with the student and the families in order to increase enrollment in this program. We had 29 the year prior. This year, this past summer, we had 42 students, which then expanded into 2 sections. So we had 2 staff members covering that. And if you recall, this is the online 6-week program, online mostly, but they meet once a week for a lab in particular in order to get ready prepare for the rigors of AP Chemistry. For our driver's education program, we had 44 students that completed that program this year. And once again, we were able to complete the behind the wheel waiver test for 13 students who qualified to take that. And then our online credit recovery program is also a part of summer school. We continue to offer for flexibility for the students. We had 2 different sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And this year we had 59 students, up from 50 students the year prior, and they completed 90 different classes, an increase over 73 last year actually. So many students were able to catch back up on some credits, and even 6 of them were able to follow through and complete their graduation after completing the credit recovery program. So that in a nutshell is what we have.
So for this summer, we have several recommendations. You may recall that we use Title I funds for busing. All of our busing is covered by the use of Title I funds. We also use Title I funds to partially fund the salaries of our teachers. So it's based on a proportion of students that fall within that free and reduced lunch category. So we would like to continue using those funds. We believe that bus transportation is important. It will enable more students to participate. We also would like to continue to utilize Title I funds to at least partially provide salaries for our teachers. In addition, we're requesting an increase in both the stipend for the teachers as well as for Tim, our summer school director. The increase as listed accounts for the additional hour. We're going from 65 hours last year to 66. We're gonna have a longer day. We're gonna go from 8 to 2. I know we've discussed that before, but just a little refresher. So that will account for that. And then also an increase, as I put in the report, of 0.7% for CPIU. So those are the 4 recommendations for summer school 2017.
And that'll come back at the next board.
Yep. Questions or comments? Vote at the next one. Have any?
I just noticed there's been a reduction in numbers of student part of that is the reduction in the entire student body, I'm guessing, or are more kids getting everything they need during the school year?
It's a combination of factors,
Combination?
and some which we may not even know.
Yeah.
I can tell you part of it is, and I started recording this about 4 years ago, the number of students who were failing classes, you may recall, as part of our
Yeah.
board goals was to reduce that number, and
Right.
it has reduced substantially.
That's substantial.
And so that's part of it. We still have a number of students, and actually that number is increasing, as pointed on the reason for attendance, who will attend for enrichment purposes. And that percent is actually increasing.
Going up.
But when you consider the number of students who are also having their needs met through credit recovery, and as Tim said, we're up from 73 was the previous to 90, right?
Classes, correct.
So those are all factors that could affect it. It'll be interesting to see long-term as our, student body numbers are down. We've seen a decrease also in the driver education
I noticed that
students.
too.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different reasons, and I think they're all coming together. The positive note is that the failure rate is down, and so those
That's the
students
good-
who,
that's absolutely right.
that's really positive. And more students who want to take driver's ed in-house are being able to get into the program during the school year,
Wondered about that because of the numbers.
and that's
Well, that could be because of the less students.
because of fewer students, as you said. So we're able to accommodate them during the school year as opposed to them having to wait or take it in the summer. We still have students who do go outside for driver's education, as we've always had.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Continuing the Gina show. We're going to move on to the state mandated civics requirement and how we're going to meet that.
Okay. House Bill 4025 was enacted and really focuses on civic education. And it's been long in the making. There have been reports by the McCormick Foundation and various groups. And so House Bill was approved, and it's really a change in instruction more so than anything. So House Bill 4025 is effective for the students who are freshmen this year. And what it basically says is they're required to take one semester, at least one semester of the two-year state requirement must focus on civic education. It identifies 4 areas that must be part of that. The first is there has to be content on governmental institutions. That's been part of our U.S. history curriculum forever. The second is discussion of current and controversial issues. The third one is service learning. And then the fourth one is simulations of the democratic process. 3 of the 4 we do already in our courses. You may recollect we actually have a 3-year requirement for social studies. 2 years is the minimum requirement that the state mandates, but we actually have a 3-year requirement. The first requirement is global connections, so it's freshman year. All freshmen take global connections. The second year is U.S. history or AP U.S. history, depends on the student, of course. And then the third year, which could be junior year or senior year, students choose from about 20 different electives in the behavioral sciences, social sciences, and histories. So the way in which we're going to address House Bill 4025 is to really embed in 5 courses all 4 of those characteristics. 3, as I said, will not be a problem. What we do not have in our curriculum right now is service learning. And service learning is really defined by the state as almost what you wish to make it. In other words, and I've actually had conversations, what exactly is service learning? Service learning could be as much as community service. Could be working in an animal shelter, could be working at a hospital, or it could be researching a controversial issue and presenting that to a congressman, to a school board. It could be something from, very much done for the most part in school. It could be writing your congressman, it could be writing a senator, or it could be, like I said, very intensive, where you're out in the community actually doing community service hours. So there has to be service learning. There doesn't necessarily have to be community service. So I want to make sure that that's really clear. So we looked at 5 courses and how we can embed those 4 components within these 5 courses. The first couple are pretty much self-explanatory. American government is a course we teach at both schools. It covers 3 of the 4. Again, the component that we will have to put in is the service learning. Advanced placement U.S. government and politics is basically the same as American government, but at a higher level, and you know that is fairly mandated by the College Board. We, of course, will embed the service learning. Law and American Society is a very popular course in District 99, and the focus there will be looking at civics through the lens of law and our justice system. And of course, much of that will focus on looking at different institutions, looking at our legal system, legislative intent, court cases, and how those government institutions, checks and balances, federalism, how that all comes together. U.S. foreign policy will also be a course that we will embed these 4 principles in, and looking at the role that these institutions play in foreign policy. So specifically looking and doing simulations that deal with our foreign policy, foreign relations, looking at court cases, for example, that have led to various powers of the different institutions, looking at historical cases as well as controversial issues related to American foreign policy. And then the 5th course will be multicultural studies. This course, of course, will continue to look at the governmental institutions. You obviously need to do that to be able to understand the role of government, looking at key court cases that relate to multicultural studies, and certainly looking and doing some of the moot court activities that we already do.
Very timely.
So those 5 courses, this approach will allow it to be integrated. So it'll build on what students already learned in U.S. history. You may recall in U.S. history, we study those institutions. The students take the Constitution exam. I would argue beyond basics in that U.S. history course. This will complement that. They'll draw back on what they learned sophomore year in U.S. history and apply it to that lens of what they're looking at, albeit foreign policy or multicultural studies or law and American society. Again, all 5 of them, we will have to do some curriculum work, and we've actually started doing some of that already. We have a little over a year, because again, these students are freshmen this year. Next year, they'll take U.S. history or AP U.S. history, so it wouldn't be till the following year, on what service learning looks like in each of those courses. And it may not be one set way. In other words, service learning in law and American society, students may have a menu of choices. Some of it may be, these are the parameters that it must meet. Now you come up with how you're going to have a project that meets those parameters. So we have some work to do in those areas, but we believe that this integrated approach will help students to acquire the skills and knowledge for them to be, as the actual law says, competent and responsible citizens.
That's great.
Questions?
Looks good. Looks good.
I know when that law was passed, I sort of thought we already offered a lot of what they required. But the service learning is really an interesting piece.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be really interesting to see what students come up with.
Exactly.
I think their interests will be exposed through those projects. I think that'll be
So
really
too.
a nice way to complement
Be
the
a force
courses.
to be reckoned with.
Yes.
So there is a possibility that a community service may be a component of some of this service learning in some of these courses?
I mean, it could be. If it depends on how we approach it. Again, we have curriculum work to do. If a student advocates in a particular way, if we have a menu of choices and they want to go beyond that, but we do not have a graduation requirement for service learning, or what I would call community service. So to say that a student has to go out and do this or that may not be what students end up doing. It depends on the course and it depends on the parameters that we set. But it could be.
And if it is, I'm just jumping to the conclusion as to if it is, how would you monitor that? Are they allowed to leave school during a period? Is it being done outside of school hours?
Those are
how do you do
reasons
that?
why many schools do not build community service. Now, some schools do have a graduation requirement. And actually at South, back when I was teaching U.S. history, so this would have been 9 years ago.
You
And
did.
you know.
I do. It was a part of your
It was. We had a community service project that most of the U.S. history teachers had students do. There was an alternative if parents or students did did not want to do that. But yes, we had all kinds of monitoring. We publicized different locations within the community. They had to write reflection papers. It was a lot to manage. I think students had some really good experiences. And we did have a few students out of every class that would decline. But you're right, to do that full force with 1,200 students a year would be difficult.
On the flip side, that's 1,200 students that could be doing community service projects in our community, which could really
Very
be
true.
Enormous.
And that's why maybe having some ways to build in flexibility, but still allow for those same parameters where students have some choice. If a student is really motivated to work, at the animal shelter or at the hospital or whatever, that'd be a great opportunity.
We'd also be surprised how many of our students are already doing that.
Already do it.
And for some classes, they have to already, like leaders in training,
Yes.
there's a service aspect to that class.
NHS, a lot of our activities already
Yeah.
do. And we found that when we were doing community service in the U.S. history classes.
Too. So
Yeah.
they're out
Yeah.
and about doing
We have a lot of students out there doing it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the more opportunities that students can have.
Can students obtain this credit through those other activities, or does it have to be through one of these courses that requires it?
So they have to take a course to earn credit. So they would have to take one of these 5 courses in order to earn or to fulfill. They would earn credit in the social studies course. So if they take American government, they'd earn half a credit for American government. But to fulfill the state civics requirement, they would have to take one of these 5.
Okay.
Because again, the requirement isn't just about service learning. That's just one component. It has to meet all 4 components. So even if they did some kind of community service as part of NHS or Key Club or any one of those, they wouldn't be fulfilling the other 3. That's just one part.
And just to be clear, so this is another course that our freshmen are going to have to take over their careers, so that's one less elective that they can take throughout their high school career? No?
It would be part of the electives that they take in social studies. So we'd be taking those roughly 20 electives and saying, out of these, you have to take one of these. These are all semester courses, so they could still pick from one other. We've done some research, and we've been doing it for years, but the vast majority of our students take 4 years of social studies. So, and some of these courses are very popular courses. So already of those students, a lot of them are already taking these courses, but they're taking them with the current curriculum, which doesn't have the 4th component, which is the service learning. So we have about a little over a year, to build that into these courses before students enroll to fulfill that requirement. And we may do some of that even for next year, even though it wouldn't necessarily have to be for next year. But as we try and work through and do some of the alignment, certainly try different aspects of it. The good thing is we have some time to build that in.
And we were already 3/4 or 4/5 of the way there, or 3/4 of the way there, I guess.
Yeah.
Good job.
Any other questions?
As always. Terrific. Thank you. It always amazes me how far ahead of the curve we seem to be. And I just really credit
Our staff.
with that.
Thank you.
Regulating expense reimbursements.
So coming to the board in policy change at the next board meeting is changes in policy 5.60, which responds to the change in law that went into effect for the Local Government Travel Expense Act, which applies to school boards in particular. One of the things that we need to do to comply with this policy is to pass a resolution that pretty much outlines how we will manage school board reimbursement of expenses and what parameters and structures we will allow that as a board. What this resolution does is it takes the press language, and then there was some spots where we could drop in some pieces, which we did, and we just modified the press resolution just like policy. So this holds hands with the changes in 5.60. So you've all had a chance to take a look at this. It's pretty boilerplate language. I'll take any questions that you may have around it.
Do we even ever come close to $5,000 per?
$5,000.
No.
We would if we went to national meetings, probably.
Right, if you
but
went
we
to a
haven't done
national
that for a long
conference,
time.
those, yeah, with airfare and hotel and conference registration, you could start, and meals, you could start to approach that. So we wanted to leave it where there was enough space for that, but anything would raise questions. If you look at policy 5.60, there's some pretty specific, the changes that are coming in that one, there's some pretty specific reasons why the board would have to approve other expenditures anyway. This kind of sets some caps on those expenditures. So there's a lot more transparency through this law for board member reimbursement. This kind of just sets what the ceiling would be for those things.
Discussion?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. We'll move on to the reception of visitors. So this is an opportunity for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Do we have anybody who wishes to address the board? Hearing none, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Wow. Yes. I move that we adjourn.
Terry moves.
I'll second.
Debbie seconds. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Wow.